Martin Luther King's got that lovely quote I've got tattooed on my shoulder. You might see if it's sunny in Greenbelt, hopefully, which is having a tough mind and a tender heart, which is about being innocent as doves and wise as serpents.
What is it that led you to be a craftivist?
Oh, a bit of an odd journey, I think. I grew up in West Everton in Liverpool, which was a very low income area, still is. And my dad was the local vicar. My mum was a nurse and then became a community worker and local politician. So our vicarage in Everton was where a lot of the campaign meetings we had on local issues, national issues, and even on international issues like South Africa apartheid. So I was squatting from the age of 3 in local housing, which is still there. We won. Aged 8, I went to South Africa on my dad's sabbatical to learn about the peace and reconciliation work of Mandela and Tutu. So I grew up seeing where campaigning could work, but also how messy it can be and how a lot of the important protests were often quite hidden or around kitchen tables. I'm an introvert as well, so I had to sort of find my own way of how to be a change maker and how to be an activist without burning out, and also in a way that was treating people how I wanted to be treated, in that loving way that I grew up about,
It almost feels like you've got this hunger for justice in your blood, and it was all around you. And yet you reached a point where it all became too much. Tell us a little bit about how that happened.
So I knew that activism wasn't just for extroverts and wasn't just the big, loud group work. And then when in 2008, I was working for the UK Department for International Development, but I kept burning out because it was so out in public and front-facing work. And I was on a train to Glasgow, and I have 5.5 hours where I'd feel travel sick on a Pendolino train, and I was too exhausted to write my reports and read my emails. So I picked up a cross-stitch kit, which was about this big, for £5 of a teddy, because I missed using my hands. And it literally was on that train to Glasgow where I saw the power of craft. It slowed me down, separating the thread. I was finally mindful of how shallow my breath was, how exhausted I felt. Threading the needle, I was beating myself up with my inner monologue and thought, why am I being so cruel to myself? And the old couple opposite me asked me what I was doing. And that little child in me, Paul, immediately said, not to them, but in my mind, I was like, oh, if only I was cross-stitching a quote by Gandhi about inequality, we could talk about it. And while I was stitching, I was thinking, what if I did cross-stitch a quote by Gandhi? And that all came up in my head on this train. And I Googled craft and activism, and the word existed, but there wasn't projects or groups I could join. And the lady who coined the term, Betsy Greer, said anyone can use the term and do whatever you like with it, which was really a gift for me to find my own way in craftivism.
Wow, that's an amazing sort of like seemingly chance
Yeah.
journey. It's unlocked this world for you.
Yeah.
And what impresses us at Greenbelt about you is your thoughtfulness around what craftivism is. You can't do it justice in a couple of minutes, but can you tell us a little bit about what you think craftivism does?
Well, I always say, see craftivism like punk music. You've got this word punk, but it incorporates so many different bands and artists that sound very different, but they have a similar ethos. So I always call my approach to craftivism gentle protest. So it always has to be about protesting something that's a system, structure, behavior, or culture that's harmful and looking for a solution. So it's not just awareness raising, it's not fundraising, it's very much we're protesting against something, but with the aim for a real tangible solution. And then the gentleness is about being gentle with yourself. So while you're crafting, calm yourself down. We should be angry and sad about injustice, but we need to channel it into something effective and not just be led and reactive, which creates chronic exhaustion and lots of burnout in activism, or we just can't think straight. But also I have craft thought questions, and they're quite difficult, but because you have the comfort of craft in your hands that's repetitive, that's slow, it helps you grapple with those uncomfortable questions that we need to, but in an empowering way, using your head, hands, and heart together. And then the object itself is about gently engaging other people? How do we help them be curious? How do we create a space for conversation that's respectful, or offer ways for them to find out more in their own time, to take ownership of where they can be part of the solution rather than part of the problem? So being gentle with other people. So for me, the gentleness is where the power is of, Martin Luther King's got that lovely quote I've got tattooed on my shoulder. You might see if it's sunny in Greenbelt, hopefully, which is having a tough mind and a tender heart, which is about being innocent as doves and wise as serpents.
When we coined our theme for this year, Hope in the Making, we just knew that we had to reach out to you and say, Sarah, can you come back to Greenbelt and can you be our Craftivist-in-Residence? We've never done that before.
Oh.
We've had artists in residence, but you're our Craftivist-in-Residence. And what are the sorts of things you're going to be doing at the festival itself?
Well, as a green belter, and I've been going since I was little, as soon as I got the email from you, Paul, and I was finally free, I was like, yes, let's do it, and let's do as much as possible. So I want people to see me wandering around and see that there's lots of taster sessions of learning how craft can be useful in activism in different ways. So it's not saying craftivism is the silver bullet, it's one tool in your activism toolkit. So we've got some time-bound workshops where you're making a little dream cloud of what's the vision you want for the world and how can you be part of the solution. We've got little stitchable change makers. We've got Desmond Tutu here and some others, which are all letterpress printed cards where you're stitching dot by dot of, okay, what are my gifts and talents? Where can I be of use in my community when I get home? And then I've got some pop-up sessions. So if you see me with a little yellow suitcase, come and follow me, and I'll be sitting down somewhere making little mini paper scrolls to support Fashion Revolution, which I'll also be doing with Patrick Grant, where I'm going to be interviewing him about his book, which is a very big book. So if you don't have time to read his book, come to the session. And even little things like, I love that you've got Rachel Ho, who's made these gorgeous, unique little cups. We'll be drinking from her cups, knowing that green belters will find them around the camp. And then we're going to have a craftivism show and tell, chat and craft session where you can bring your craftivism to show people, talk about your learnings, what went well, what didn't. If you've got an idea, we can discuss it as a group of craftivists to see how to help hone your strategy. And then we've got a few happenings where I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you'll see some people with these little beaks. If you know, you know. If you don't, come and find a little group of people doing some climate unusual craftivism. And then other things will be happening. So I will be trying to thread my gentle protest craftivism throughout Greenbelt for you to find in different places at different times.
It feels to me like you're really going to be embedded in the festival, and I hope as many Greenbelters as possible can bump into you and what you're doing. There's all sorts of opportunities. So yeah, we're really grateful to you for being our Craftivist-in-Residence for Hope in the Making.
Thank you for having me. And I'll be stitching my prayer for the Sunday communion this afternoon. So that'll be interesting.
Brilliant. We're really looking forward to it. And let's see where your craftivism takes us this Greenbelt.
Yeah, come find me at the festival and let's have a chat and a craft.